Camera shutters clicked like summer insects, while the throng sounded like a far-off waterfall of applause and laughter. I was standing near the back of the hallway, holding my diploma firmly in one hand, awkwardly fumbling with the zipper of my gown with the other. After all the years and sacrifices I had made, the whole moment still felt unreal. I was 38 years old, a father of one, a spouse, and I had finally graduated from college. I thought they would applaud the loudest for me. Instead of pride, instead of feeling triumphant, I felt chilly and ignored. Families embraced their grads. Parents kissed their foreheads. Friends scurried to gather and laugh and pose for pictures. I stood alone, clutching my bouquet and looking like a misplaced prop in someone else's celebration. Most of the folding chairs at the front had long since been filled with clapping hands, proud siblings, and shaky-chinned grandparents. But two chairs never moved. One had Myra's name, the other Leona's. As if staring hard enough might make them materialize, I'd laminated their name cards, printed them myself. First row, left aisle, ideal view of the stage. I wanted them to see me walk, hear my name called, and think, that's my husband, that's my dad. But the seats stayed empty, two lonely islands in a sea of celebration. By the time I stepped off the stage, diploma in hand, I was bleeding, not visibly, but from years of weekend classes and late-night study sessions. Reality crept in like dust on forgotten furniture. They weren't returning calls. I told myself maybe it was traffic. Maybe Leona's stomach was acting up. Maybe Myra had a last-minute emergency. But I knew. The last few months had been filled with silent dinners and tension you could chew. I blamed the grind, two people with opposite schedules raising a child trying to keep the lights on. But maybe Myra had stopped caring about the things that mattered to me, or maybe she never truly did. Another wave of graduates passed by, laughing, arms linked with proud families. A young woman I once took sight class with gave me a sympathetic smile before returning to her cheerful mother. I nodded instinctively, unsure whether she'd seen the empty chairs or just saw the loneliness sitting on my shoulders. For a moment, I thought about asking someone to take a photo of me, something to prove I was here. But the idea of making a stranger smile on cue felt like salt in a wound, so I backed away from the front, toward the shadows and the silence. The applause, the clapping, it all felt like it belonged to someone else's life. There was no party waiting at home. I had even bought a card for Leona to give me, placed it on the kitchen counter beside a pin and a note. Just write anything you want, kiddo. It'll mean the world. But I wasn't sure if it had been touched. The longer I wore the gown, the heavier it felt, like it had absorbed all my disappointment. It felt like a costume, and I didn't know what to do with my hands without it. I didn't want to strip away, the final piece of evidence that I had accomplished something. Nearby, a graduate's mother wiped away tears and kissed her son on the cheek. I used to dream of that moment, Myra's eyes lighting up. But my chest ached at the sight. Leona would have run into my arms, screaming, "Daddy, you did it!" Instead, I heard silence. I promised myself I wouldn't cause a scene. People never know what to do when grown men cry in public, whether to lean in or look away. I bit the inside of my cheek and focused on the glowing exit sign. I didn't feel resentment, just a strange weightlessness, like a balloon losing air. I'd thought today was the pinnacle, the end of a long uphill climb. But standing there alone, surrounded by the scent of flowers and congratulations, it felt more like a quiet detour into sadness. I didn't need champagne, or confetti, or banners. I just needed them. Just one glance from Myra, just one cheer from Leona. That alone would have made every sacrifice worth it. But all I had was a too-perfect gown, a sweat-slick diploma, and two empty chairs I couldn't stop staring at. I stayed longer than I should have, hoping for a miracle, some late arrival, some breathless hug and sheepish apology, but it never came. Eventually, the crowd thinned. The cleanup crew began folding chairs, and I realized I was the only one who showed up for me today. I was halfway to the exit when I felt a gentle tap on my shoulder. I turned, not expecting much, not expecting her, Dean Carolina, not a flyer-waving staffer, not a fellow graduate, just her. We'd only spoken a few times in 4 years. Course policy, some administrative emails. She always struck me as blunt, efficient, no nonsense. But now, standing in the fading crowd, she looked different, warmer. No clipboard, no sternness. Not, "Leaving yet, are you?" she asked, gently resting a hand on my arm. I opened my mouth, pretending I'd say something like, "Just grabbing coffee or beating traffic," but I didn't. Didn't need to. She simply smiled. "I'm starting to trust you a little," she said, and started walking. So I followed. We slipped behind the stage, past a security door held open by someone's foot. The hallway was quiet, lined, with dusty plaques and old paintings, the kind you only notice when you're alone. "Where are we going?" I asked. She just smiled, said, "You'll see." The hallway ended at a small, frosted glass door. She pushed it open. Inside, a tiny reception room, beige carpet, a folding table, cookies, plastic cups, and people, a dozen of them. Faces I recognized: Professor Delaney from Ethics, Dr. Singh, who'd stayed late more than once to help me catch up. Bethany, from Public Speaking, raising a cup quietly. The librarian, placing napkins with that same careful attention she used shelving books. "We told them you might try to leave without saying goodbye," Carolina whispered. "But we thought you deserved more than that." "Why?" I asked. She looked at me, half stern, half soft. Bethany answered first. "You and your kid came every Tuesday night." She always smiled. "Said hello, Doctor." Singh nodded. "You asked great questions even when you looked ready to fall asleep." I didn't know what to say. I thought I was invisible, a silent commuter, a ghost. But they'd seen me try. As I stepped into the room, I felt warmth, actual emotional warmth, like something I hadn't realized I was starving for, "Didn't want you to vanish into the crowd," Delaney said, gesturing to an open seat. "Not today." I sat slowly. The chair creaked. The moment wrapped around me like an old blanket I hadn't worn in years. I wasn't just being acknowledged. I was being welcomed. Carolina handed me a cup of punch like it was communion wine. "We do this sometimes," she said. "When we think someone might need it." I blinked fast, looked down, focused on the cup. No one asked questions, no one pried. They just made space, with cookies and paper napkins and kindness, and for the first time all day, I felt seen.